They say war is chaos, but chaos has customers. Explosions make headlines. Contracts don't. You see the flash in the sky. You don't see the invoice that trails it for decades, interest on debt, medical care for wounded soldiers, replacement parts, reconstruction, pensions, and price increases that quietly tax every trip to the grocery store. This film isn't about who's right or wrong on a battlefield. It's about the bill, who pays, how long, and why the system keeps ordering the most expensive item on the menu. Most modern wars aren't paid in cash. They're paid like credit cards. Swipe now, deal with it later. Then governments issue bonds. That's a polite way of saying, we'll borrow from the future to pay for today. But why borrow? Because taxes are visible and unpopular. Debt is quiet. You don't feel it all at once. Imagine your family buys a $30,000 car on a credit card with no limit. You make the minimum payment for years. By the time you're done, you've paid for 2 cars, not 1. War works the same way. The headline cost is the sticker price. The interest becomes the second car you didn't know you bought. But war isn't just one car. It's a fleet. Soldiers' salaries, fuel, ammunition, vehicles, drones, satellites, shipping, food, bases, and the flights to get everything where it needs to go. And unlike your family, governments can keep raising the limit. Follow the loop. Step 1. Debt. Treasury issues bonds. Emergency funding. Supplementals. Readiness. Investors buy them. Central banks make sure the market stays calm. Step 2. Contracts. Defense agencies award funds to prime contractors, big household names you've heard, and to thousands of smaller suppliers you haven't. The company that machines a bolt, the one that makes a guidance chip, the one that transports a crate. Step 3. Profits and options. If programs run on time, quarterly earnings look good. Executives are paid in stock. Share buybacks return cash to investors. Step 4. Influence. Some of that money funds lobbying, donations, think tank papers, and expert panels. The people who built the missiles present the slides about future capability gaps and threat environments. Step 5. Policy. Policy documents recommend more spending to fix the gaps. The loop closes with new bonds. If you own a factory that builds jets or armor plates, quiet years are risky. Machines idle. Workers leave. Suppliers dry up. Shareholders ask questions. So the industry moved from boom and bust to subscription. You don't buy one war. You subscribe to readiness, research, training, exercises, staged equipment, and contingency budgets that auto-renew. Imagine paying a gym membership forever, whether you work out or not, because canceling would be unsafe. For the people who make the equipment, peacetime isn't peace. It's a sales trough. That's why the vocabulary changes. Even when active wars slow, documents keep the urgency alive. Near-peer adversaries, gray zone conflict, multi-domain operations, persistent cyber. The message is clear. The treadmill must keep running, or we'll be out of shape when the next sprint arrives. There's a classic idea called the broken window fallacy. If a vandal breaks a window, the glazier gets paid. Great for him. But the town is poorer by one window, and by the other thing the shop owner can't buy now. War scales that to nations. Yes, defense contracts create jobs. Yes, factories hum, and paychecks feed local diners. But the opportunity cost is everything not done. Bridges that don't get repaired, research labs that don't get funded, schools that don't get smaller class sizes, medicine that doesn't get discovered. Say a country spends $100 billion on a conflict this year. If that money is borrowed at an average interest of 4% and paid over 20 years, the interest alone can add tens of billions more. Money that can't build highways, water systems, or microchip factories. You don't see the missing bridge, you only notice the traffic you sit in. Explosions end, bills don't. Here's the part that lasts decades. Interest on war debt. Every year the government pays interest on bonds it issued to fund the war. Interest is like rent. You don't own anything at the end, but the money is gone. Veterans' medical care and benefits. War doesn't end when soldiers come home. Some need care for the rest of their lives. Physical injuries, PTSD, toxic exposure. Healthcare grows more expensive as people age, so these costs rise even after the shooting stops. Equipment replacement. Vehicles, jets, ships, and drones wear out fast in conflict zones. You pay once to use them, again to replace them, and then again to maintain the replacements. Reconstruction roads, power plants, water systems, destroyed quickly, rebuilt slowly. If the area becomes unstable again, you may pay to rebuild what you already rebuilt. The security tail. After the war, there's training, bases, advisors, and stability assistance. The footprint shrinks, but often never goes to zero. If a conflict runs on a mix of borrowed money and emergency budgets for, say, 8 to 10 years, the tail, interest plus benefits plus replacement plus reconstruction, can run another 20 to 30 years. The explosion is quick. The accounting is forever. How do you pay a giant bill without raising taxes? One tool is inflation. Print more money, or borrow enough that the central bank eases things with cheap credit and prices rise. Wages chase, but usually lag. Savings melt a little, month by month. It feels like the cost of living, but part of that cost is the tab for policies we didn't pay with cash. No conspiracy, just a mechanism. But mechanisms don't need your permission. They just need your paycheck. Inside big bureaucracies, there's a simple rule. Use it or lose it. If a program doesn't spend its budget by year end, next year's budget may shrink. So the signal becomes spend. Not spend well, just obligate funds on time, so the spreadsheet shows success. Imagine a personal trainer telling you, your fitness is measured in pounds lifted, not in health. You'd pile on weight, even if your knees were screaming. That's how some programs treat dollars moved. Activity equals victory. Output substitutes for outcome. Every tragedy creates a market. For rapid security contracting, for logistics routes that cut through chaos, for reconstruction companies who arrive after the ceasefire, for cyber firms before the next fight begins. No one person designed this machine. Incentives did. When the rules reward spending and throughput, the system produces spending and throughput. At home, the cost shows up in quiet ways. Crowded classrooms because education budgets lost the tug of war. Delayed bridges because maintenance keeps getting kicked to next year. Higher interest on the national debt, which eats more of the budget before a single service is delivered. Local economies dependent on defense that stagnate if a program ends. Company towns without mines. Picture a family with a credit card bill so large that even though the parents work overtime, the fridge keeps getting barer. Nobody sees the card. Everybody feels the hunger. This isn't about hating soldiers or defense workers. It's about asking whether the checkbook matches the promises we make to ourselves. Wars run on fuel, but they also run on stories. Stories compress time. We must act now. Stories simplify complexity. Good versus evil. Stories crowd out audits. We'll count later. Emergency is a budget category and a rhetorical tool. A story is a bridge over the public's questions. The longer the bridge, the easier the convoy passes. But bridges need weight limits. Otherwise, everything drives across until it collapses. You'll hear that war stimulates the economy. It does, like adrenaline does. You feel powerful for a while. You run faster. You break records. Then you break down. True growth is different. It builds capacities you can use in peace. Bridges that carry trucks and kids, labs that cure disease, small companies that grow into big employers. You can't eat a missile. You can't live in a drone. You can't export a crater. Adrenaline is a loan from your future calm. War's stimulus works the same way. Can nations ever pay back war debt? Technically, yes. Raise taxes, cut spending, grow faster than you borrow. Practically, here's what happens. Mandatory programs, pensions, healthcare, take the front seat. Interest on the existing national debt takes the passenger seat. Everything else squeezes into the back. Infrastructure, research, disaster response, public safety. Add a new war on credit, and the car gets heavier. Even if GDP grows, interest can grow faster. That's when you realize you're mostly driving to the bank, not to a better future. Countries don't need a spreadsheet collapse to feel the pain. They feel it as slower lives, slower public services, slower repairs, slower chances. Defense and security are necessary. There are real threats in the world. The point isn't spend nothing, it's spend like adults when we must. Here's what that looks like. Digestible, boring, powerful, transparency with teeth, publish contracts, delivery milestones, overruns, and who lobbied whom. Not just PDFs, dashboards a teenager can read. Tie bonuses to honest delivery, not to dollars obligated. Sunset clauses that actually set. Emergency funding auto-expires unless rejustified line by line. No forever emergencies, after-action cash flow. A fixed share of post-conflict budgets must legally shift into civilian infrastructure and R&D, the peace dividend as a rule, not a wish. Local resilience. Don't let entire regions depend on one weapons program. Attract other industries during the good years so the lights stay on when a contract ends. Measure outcomes, not throughput. The goal isn't dollars spent or steel moved, it's risk reduced and peace extended. Score that publicly. You don't control national policy. You do control a few things that add up. Attention. Don't let every headline rent space in your head for free. Ask, what else could this money buy? Local voice. Support boring, high-return projects, bridges, pipes, labs, apprenticeships. They beat fireworks. Budget literacy. Understand that supplemental and emergency usually mean more debt. Vote for boring. Politicians who promise fewer ribbon cuttings and more pothole crews. Those people are heroes in disguise. Teach the math. Show kids how compound interest and opportunity cost really work. A nation that can do those two things can pay any bill it chooses. War is sometimes necessary, but a system that profits more from doing than solving will never run out of reasons to do. In the end, wars aren't paid with money. They're paid with the future, the bridge we didn't build, the cure we didn't fund, the peace we didn't learn to keep. This is money unmasked.